There's one website in particular that's useful for figuring out if you can use a particular CSS property or HTML tag and support the browsers that you've stated you're going to support. And it's called Can I Use? So if I type in Can I Use in the browser, we can go to caniuse.com. And here, I'm going to type REM so we can take a look at the support for REM units. And here, we can see some details. So here's a table, and it shows us the various major versions of browsers. So we have Internet Explorer, Firefox, Chrome, Safari, Opera, and then some mobile browsers, iOS Safari, Opera Mini, Android, and Chrome for Android. And then in each column, it shows us the versions of the different browsers. So we have IE 8, 9, 10, and 11. And we see that 8 is red, which means that it's not supported. 9 and 10 are kind of a lime green, which is partial support, and it gives us some information there. It says it's not supported when it's used in the font shorthand property or when it's used on pseudo elements. But then in 11, it's fully supported. All of the other browsers support REMs for all of the latest versions. So this looks good at a glance. Up here at the top, we can see a single number that summarizes the support. So 91.52% of users are using a browser that supports this. 2.93% of users are using a browser that partially supports it, and this adds up to about 94% of all users. Down here at the bottom are some notes that can be pretty useful. These are simply footnotes that are indicated in the versions here. You can see the one here in the corner and the one here in the corner, so this points to this footnote. And so if you haven't read all of these, it can be useful to go through them just to pick out any potential issues you might not be aware of. You can also check out the known issues, and this can have some interesting details about things that you might not test for. For example, borders sized in REM disappear when the page is zoomed out in Chrome. And also we can look at all of the different browsers by clicking this Show All here. And you can see that in early versions of Firefox, this wasn't supported, as well as possibly Chrome. As we scroll down, you can see that the earlier versions of Opera, Safari, and earlier versions of IE didn't support this either. So when it comes to figuring out this additional 6% of people that will have browsers that don't support REMs, they're coming from a combination of these unsupported browsers. I'm going to click on these in order to come back to the view that we had before.